Guerrilla gardening is basically planting wherever you see fit. Guerrilla gardening involves planting mostly edible plants, which is truly a revolutionary act in our modern time. Let's find out how Ron Finley guerrilla gardens in South Central LA.
I live in South Central. This is South Central. Liquor stores, fast food, vacant lots.
Guerrilla gardening can be done anywhere, but it's most impactful in places that are run down. Unused lots could be used to grow food. A lot of these places that are run down are food deserts, meaning they don't have access to grocery stores or fresh, healthy foods. So, guerrilla gardening and growing these foods in food deserts would help the communities immensely.
So the city planners, they get together and they figure they're going to change the name South Central to make it represent something else. So they change it to South Los Angeles. Like this is going to fix what's really going wrong in the city. This is South Los Angeles. Liquor stores, fast food, vacant lots.
You polish a turd, it's still a turd. Slapping lipstick on a pig doesn't negate the fact that it's still a pig.
Just like 26.5 million other Americans, I live in a food desert. South Central Los Angeles, home of the drive-through and the drive-by.
Food deserts lack grocery stores, but they have an excess of drive-throughs and convenience stores. Drive-throughs and convenience stores don't necessarily have fresh options that you could get at a normal grocery store.
Funny thing is, the drive-throughs are killing more people than the drive-bys. People are dying from curable diseases in South Central Los Angeles. For instance, the obesity rate in my neighborhood is like 5 times higher than, say, Beverly Hills, which is like probably 8, 10 miles away.
This is a poignant point that health should be at the top of our focus list.
I got tired of seeing this happening. And I wonder, how would you feel if you had no access to healthy food? If every time you walk out your door, you see the ill effects that the present food system have on your neighborhood? I see wheelchairs bought and sold like used cars. I see dialysis centers popping up like Starbucks. And I figured this has to stop.
The fact that there's industries that are profiting off the health epidemic is sick and twisted to me. That's why I don't particularly like Ozempic or GLP-1s, but hey, to each their own.
So I figured that the problem is the solution. Food is the problem, and food is the solution. Plus, I got tired of driving 45 minutes round trip to get an apple that wasn't impregnated with pesticides.
I love that. Food is a problem and food is the solution. Imagine if you were walking down your local city streets and instead of the sides being lined by oak trees, they were lined by fruit trees. So you could pick mangoes or berries off the tree as you were going downtown. And the people that were homeless could benefit from this too. It's a win win all around.
So what I did, I planted a food forest in front of my house. It's on a strip of land that we call a parkway. It's like 150 feet by like 10 feet. Thing is, it's owned by the city, but you have to maintain it. So I'm like, cool. I can do whatever the hell I want. Since it's my responsibility and I got to maintain it, and this is how I decided to maintain it.
Bending the rules just a little bit for everybody's betterment is always a positive in my mind.
So me and my group, LA Green Grounds, we got together and we started planting my food forest, fruit trees, the whole nine, for vegetables. What we do, we're a pay-it-forward kind of group, where it's composed of like gardeners from all walks of life from all over the city, and it's completely volunteer, and everything we do is free.
If you didn't know, a food forest is a self-sustaining system where it's emulating the natural forest, but each layer is edible. So edible trees, edible bushes, edible vines, and edible ground cover, even edible tubers that grow inside the ground. So mimicking natural systems of forests, but incorporating more food into the whole system, like the feeder plants, or the plants that provide nitrogen, or the plants that grow and you chop and drop that provide nutrients for the soil and the trees. self-sustaining ecosystem focused on food production.
And in the garden, it was beautiful. And then somebody complained. The city came down on me. And basically gave me a citation saying that I had to remove my garden, which this citation would turn into a warrant. And I'm like, come on, really? A warrant for planting food on a piece of land that you could care less about? And I was like, cool, bring it.
Growing food is a great way to build community. What are community gardens other than growing communities? What's a flower plot to grow flowers? What's a pepper plot to grow peppers? What's a community garden to grow community? Perfect right until somebody steps in and complains.
Because this time it wasn't coming up. So LA Times got hold of it. Steve Lopez did a story on it and talked to the councilman. And one of the Green Grounds members, they put up a petition on change.org. And with 900 signatures, we were a success. We had a victory on our hands.
Change.org is perfect for this situation. 900 people signed. That means 900 people of the community are supporting this effort in action.
My councilman even called and said how they endorse and love what we're doing. I mean, come on, why wouldn't they? LA leads the United States in vacant lots that the city actually owns. They own 26 square miles of vacant lots. That's 20 Central Parks. That's enough space to plant 700 million, 725 million tomato plants. Why in the hell would they not okay this?
We have a huge problem where farmers are getting older and the replacement farmers are not really coming in. So farmers are dying off, which leads them to sell their land because no one's there to replace them. So instead of these huge 100-acre plots where we farm at, we could decentralize farming and everybody or every city grows a little bit of produce that could sustain us, making our actions of growing food and our actions of consuming food more sustainable.
Growing one plant will give you 1,000, 10,000 seeds. Okay. When $1 worth of green beans will give you like $75 worth of produce. It's my gospel. I'm telling people, grow your own food. Growing your own food is like printing your own money.
This point is often looked over by a vast multitude of people. You buy that one pepper at the store. The pepper has, I don't know, 100 seeds in it. What did that pepper cost? $1, $2? You plant all of those seeds and they give you a plant. Those plants could be sold for $1 each. So that's $100 from $1. If you let those plants grow until they're fruiting, that's peppers. So say each plant gives you 5 peppers. That's $500 from $1. Exponential growth, which all these tech bros and stock market bros and finance bros talk about. The original investment is the investment into plants, which has exponential growth. Money really does grow on trees.
See, I have a legacy in South Central. I grew up there. I raised my sons there. And I refuse to be a part of this manufactured reality that was manufactured for me by some other people, and I manufactured my own reality. See, I'm an artist. Gardening is my graffiti. I grow my art. Just like a graffiti artist, where they beautify walls, I beautify lawns, parkways. I use the garden, the soil, like it's a piece of cloth. And the plants and the trees, that's my embellishment for that cloth. You'd be surprised what the soil could do if you let it be your canvas.
Like I said before, growing edible plants is truly a revolutionary act in our modern time. We're all just artists, and the earth is literally the gardener's canvas.
So what happened? I have witnessed my garden become a tool for the education, a tool for the transformation of my neighborhood. To change the community, you have to change the composition of the soil. We are the soil.
The soil ecosystem, the human ecosystem, reflections on all levels.
Gardening is the most therapeutic and defiant act you can do, especially in the inner city. Plus, you get strawberries.
Who doesn't want fresh strawberries? If you've never had a fruit fresh off the vine, it's a completely different experience than fruit bought from the grocery store because it's fully ripe and very, very sweet. But it's hard to convey that message, so you're just gonna have to try it for yourself.
I remember this time. There was this mother and the daughter came. They were. It was like 10:30 at night, and they were in my yard. And I came out, and they looked so ashamed. And I'm like, man, it made me feel bad that they were there. And I told them, you don't have to do this like this. This is on the street for a reason. It made me feel ashamed to see people that was this close to me that was hungry, and this only reinforced why I do this. And people ask me, Finn, aren't you afraid people are gonna steal your food? And I'm like, hell no, I ain't afraid they're gonna steal it. That's why it's on the street. That's the whole idea. I want them to take it, but in the same time, I want them to take back their health.
I love this story. I grow tons of different fruits. That's what I focus on. I don't really grow vegetables, I grow fruits. So I live in Central Florida. I can grow basically all the fruits that you can imagine. But I started out and I wanted to sell the fruits because I have all this abundance. And then as the time progressed, because the trees were planted and it takes a long time, maybe like 5 years for the trees to actually bear fruit and enough fruit for you to give away. And what I wanted to do was sell it originally. But now that I've grown older and had this wider perspective, I don't want to be a participant in this capitalistic game. I want to give the fruit away to people who actually need it or are going to enjoy it. And that's what I did last year. I had an abundance of mangoes and I gave them away at my mom's housewarming party. And the people that have never tried mangoes fresh off the tree were astonished at how sweet and how these different varieties that you can't get at the store have these subtle nuanced flavors. So joyful for me. One of my biggest things in life is getting people to try fruits that are fresh off the tree and seeing their reaction, and that's worth all the money in the world to me.
There's another time when I put a garden in this homeless shelter in downtown Los Angeles. The guys, they helped me unload the truck. It was cool. And they just shared the stories about how this affected them and how they used to plant with their mother and their grandmother. And it was just cool to see how this changed them if it was only for that one moment.
Gardening and growing food used to be an integral part of our everyday life. And now in the modern times, we've kind of phased that out. So I think the decentralization of gardening needs to come back into our lives. Strong local community resilience blossoms from having local gardens.
So Green Grounds has gone on to plant maybe like 20 gardens. We've had like 50 people come to our dig-ins and participate, and it's all volunteers. If kids grow kale, kids eat kale. If they grow tomatoes, they eat tomatoes. But when none of this is presented to them, if they're not shown how food affects the mind and the body, they blindly eat whatever the hell you put in front of them.
When I first got out of college, I worked for this company called Fleet Farming, which is a nonprofit. And I basically taught people how to garden. I would go to their house and install vegetable plots or fruit trees. That was the for profit sector of the nonprofit. The main part of the nonprofit was these swarm rides, where we took people's front yards, turned them into gardens, and got the community involved. And we would go out every Sunday to these small plots in people's front yards and garden them and then sell the produce at a local market. The key to the system this man is describing and I'm describing is the community effort. When the community comes out to volunteer, everybody benefits.
I see young people, and they want to work, but they're in this thing where they're caught up. I see kids of color, and they just on this track that's designed for them that leads them to nowhere. So with gardening, I see an opportunity where we can train these kids to take over their communities, to have a sustainable life. And when we do this, who knows? We might produce the next George Washington Carver. But if we don't change the composition of the soil, we will never do this.
The next George Washington Carver or Johnny Appleseed is definitely a possibility. But to learn gardening and growing food, you don't have to make this your full time job. We can all just garden on the side. There can be people that dedicate their life to it, but ultimately, you don't have to for the community to succeed. Maybe just a couple people have to.
Now, this is one of my plans. This is what I want to do. I want to plant a whole block of gardens. It was just where people can share in the food in the same block. I want to take shipping containers and turn them into healthy cafes.
Yeah, let's turn concrete jungles into food oases.
And now don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about no free shit, because free is not sustainable. The funny thing about sustainability, you have to sustain it.
Like the nonprofit that I worked at, there's a for profit section and a nonprofit section. There's room for making money and there's room for community engagement and volunteering, and they can both live harmoniously together.
What I'm talking about is putting people to work and getting kids off the street and letting them know the joy, the pride, and the honor in growing your own food. Opening farmers markets. So what I want to do here, we got to make this sexy.
Now that's a hat I could get behind. Make gardening sexy again.
So I want us all to become evolutionary, renegades, gangsters, gangster gardeners. We got to we got to flip the script on what a gangster is. If you ain't a gardener, you ain't gangster. Get gangster with your shovel, okay? And let that be your weapon of choice.
Gangster guerrilla gardening one plant at a time.
So 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 basically, if you want to meet with me, you know, if you want to meet, don't call me. If you want to sit around in cushy chairs and have meetings where you talk about doing some shit, where you talk about doing some shit. If you want to meet with me, come to the garden with your shovel so we can plant some shit. Peace. Thank you.
The tricky part is gardening is not a me movement, it's a we movement. So comment below what your thoughts are on this revolutionary act and get out there and grow some more food.